we are about to tell you about a horrifying true case. Surely when you hear it, you will exclaim in dismay. Because no one can imagine that there is such a mother in the world. People often say a fierce tiger does not eat its cubs, but there are exceptions, like the story below. The story took place in the Merseyside region of England. Even today, anyone who walks by the house feels a shiver run down their spine. Bright white doorways, baskets overflowing with plants, and neatly trimmed fences surround the house. Now, it's hard to believe this was once a horrible hell, a place that held the terrible secret of a woman who lost everything to her own dark nature. This large house is where a mother named Bernadette Quirk used to live, surrounded by maggots, dirty diapers, trash, and with dead children hidden in a red trash can. Accordingly, in mid-April 2019, many people could not help but shudder when the press reported on the case of Mrs. Bernadette Quirk hiding the bodies of 4 children in a trash can in a closet for 2 decades without anyone knowing. She even takes them with her every time she moves house. One of Bernadette's 2 daughters discovered the first body when she walked past the foul-smelling red trash can in her mother's fly-infested bedroom. Many years later, the girl discovered 3 more newborn babies' bodies, and now the terrible secret was exposed. Even the children couldn't believe that their mother was such a cruel person. Joanne, Bernadette's eldest daughter, knew nothing about her mother's terrible secret and assumed she was having mental health problems. She later wrote a book, titled Silent Sisters, about her childhood and her mother's hidden children. Reading these lines, everyone shudders at the mother's disgust revealed by the truth. Telling the Sun reporter about the scene at her house at that time, Joanne still couldn't hide her extreme panic. She described the house as being in a horrific state. The floor was obscured by filth, making its original color impossible to discern. Animal feces were scattered everywhere, maggots swarmed the decaying mess, and garbage bags piled high nearly touched the ceiling. Even old, stinky diapers lay forgotten on the carpet. Windows, never cleaned, served as a breeding ground for a buzzing cloud of flies. Joanne, who now lives in St. Helens, said she and her siblings repeatedly had unbelievable nightmares as they helped their mother move house. Joanne said, "The refrigerator was broken and my mother left the food in there until it molded. The washing machine broke down and clothes were left in there for years. You can't even see the original color of the kitchen floor. The bathroom was unusable because trash bags were piled from floor to ceiling. My sister's used diapers were also left there for years." Joanne, even at a young age while living with her mother, shouldered the responsibility of keeping the house clean while also raising her 2 younger siblings, a boy and a girl. This highlights the extraordinary task Joanne undertook. The situation worsened when Joanne left to live on her own to earn money. "Things really spiraled downhill when Mom was alone," she said. "I remember moving her belongings constantly, thinking I'd be stuck doing this forever." During a move, Joanne found a handwritten letter stapled to a trash bag that read, "Don't live like this anymore." She believed it was a message from one of her mother's ex-lovers, hinting at a dark secret her mother was deliberately hiding. Joanne said it took her a whole week to clean up all the trash in the house. "It's unimaginable," she said. "I remember one time my sister and I took the mattress outside, and there were maggots crawling out everywhere." While helping her mother move, Joanne stumbled upon a horrifying secret. Hidden among Bernadette's belongings were the remains of premature babies. A sickening realization dawned on Joanne: these were her own siblings. In 1998, the horrifying truth was first revealed when Joanne's younger sister, Kath, who was then 16 years old, discovered the red bin in her mother's wardrobe after they smelled a foul odor. Joanne recalls that what scared her sister the most was the sheer number of insects around the box. Kath reached into the bin and felt what appeared to be the baby's head through the plastic. Panicking, Kath called her sister. "Oh my God, I found something. It feels like a human head," she cried. Joanne and Kath had harbored suspicions about their mother's pregnancy. Her belly had become noticeably bigger, and Bernadette herself had fueled the rumors by mentioning it to someone at the New Year's party. When she never saw her mother giving birth, 26-year-old Joanne thought she and her sister were wildly mistaken. Even Kath's excited phone call about her discovery couldn't convince her. But the sight of the smelly body in the red trash can shattered Joanne's denial. Her mother wasn't the simple person she seemed. After that, Joanne decided to have a frank conversation with her mother. Faced with her daughter's arguments, Bernadette admitted that the baby, named Helen, had died after birth and was in her mother's room. This confession left Joanne in shock. Regaining her composure, Joanne persuaded her mother to allow a proper burial for the baby. "I buried baby Helen the next day. It felt like the right thing to do at the time," Joanne shared. And then, Joanne buried her sister's body in the family plot at the cemetery, where Nana Winnie, Uncle Bernard, and her stepson, John, who died shortly after birth, rested. In the days and months that followed, Joanne desperately tried to banish the haunting memories of that day. But the terrifying scene of the red bin reappeared every time she saw little girls on the street. A feeling utterly indescribable. Years later, Kath stumbled upon the red bin hidden in Bernadette's closet. The moment Kath spotted it, her mother darted across the room and slammed the door shut. But Joanne, unfazed, flung it open, revealing a scene eerily similar to what Kath had discovered years prior. Mrs. Bernadette, in a desperate attempt to mask the stench, had doused the bin with air freshener. Overwhelmed by the discovery, Joanne couldn't search further. Yet, the weight of the situation demanded the right course of action. She confided in a family friend, who immediately contacted the police. "My friend walked out into the hallway and made the call that changed my life and everything around me forever," Joanne wrote in her book. When the police arrived, she poured out the story about baby Helen, burying her, and then finding the red barrel again. But to her horror, the revelation led to her own arrest on suspicion of murder. In custody, Joanne learned a chilling truth: 3 other babies had been found in that very red box. "I can't believe it," she whispered, the weight of the news crushing her. "Until now, I can't understand why I ignored the strange smell in the house. It was awful, unlike anything I'd ever encountered," Joanne shared sadly. Unearthing a horrifying truth, Joanne discovered that one of the fathers of the newborn in the crate was her long-term partner. This meant she was not only the child's stepmother, but also its half-sister, a cruel twist of fate Joanne could never have predicted. Exonerated after 7 agonizing months, Joanne finally received justice. Meanwhile, in December 2010, Mrs. Bernadette appeared at Liverpool Crown Court, admitting to a horrific secret, concealing the births of her 4 stillborn children. The court learned that Bernadette had hidden the bodies for 20 years, resorting to air fresheners to mask the smell. Tragically, the births occurred between 1985 and 1995, all resulting in stillbirths. Bernadette claimed heavy alcohol consumption during that period had clouded her memories. Doctors confirmed the remains were full-term fetuses through autopsies. Shrouding the events in further mystery, Bernadette's lawyer attributed the births to a maternal crisis, claiming she couldn't explain many details from that period. Following the investigation and Bernadette's conviction, the court sentenced her to 2 years of community service in lieu of prison time. Tragically, on the very day of the verdict, Joanne suffered a miscarriage. Then, sisters Joanne and Kath held a joint cremation ceremony for the 4 babies. Joanne invited their mother to attend, but she did not come. Joanne described it as a very small ceremony. Only her immediate family, 2 of the children's fathers, and herself were present. They'd invited their mother, but she declined. The babies were cremated together. Then, Mrs. Bernadette passed away in February 2019 from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. Honestly, a wave of relief washed over me at my mother's passing. While I grieve for the family's loss, I can't deny the sense of release. The anger of her silence still burns. I often think about my unfortunate siblings, a knot of guilt tightening in my stomach. But at least they're finally at peace, no longer confined to that box, Joanne shared. The truth behind the 4 newborns and their cruel mother continues to baffle many. Why would someone act so inhumanly? The press heavily publicized the incident, sparking a lengthy societal discussion. This incident raises many questions. Let's hear your thoughts in the comments. We'll be back soon with another captivating case.